Welcome to Canberra
Metalheads.
Season 1.
The Archives. Alright, let's kick it.
Welcome to Canberra Metalheads. You got Marky Malphas here and Benphegor. We're got a special host here in the show today. We got Reggae from Reign of Terror.
Pleasure to be on board, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming in, man.
It's always good to have a couple of extra people in the studio.
Add a new definition to the word special.
No, that's really good. Reggae's brought in an awesome collection of some classic Aussie metal from over the years, so sit back, relax and enjoy the show. We're going to kick it off right now with some Armored Angel. And Reggae, which track are we going to play first up?
My choice was Enigmatize off that. It's my favourite song off the CD, but they're all good. It's a classic 6-track EP from Canberra. Probably the best band I reckon Canberra's ever produced.
Ooh.
It's a big call.
That's a big call.
Them fighting words.
Okay, so this is Armored Angel with Enigmatize on Canberra Metalheads. Welcome back to Canberra Metalheads. You've got Marky Malphas and Benphegor and a special co-host here with Reggae from Reign of Terror.
Hey.
You just heard Chalice with Soulless Waves. Before that, there was Crypt with Zombified, and at the top you had Armored Angel with Enigmatize. Just mixing it up a little bit, taking it back with some Chalice, so everybody heard that nice little transition there. What did you think of that, Ben?
It was beautiful. I almost shedded a tear.
Besides being great musicians, they're the most polite band I've ever met in Australian metal, I have to say. We've played a couple of shows with these guys, I think, back in early 2000s. There's one night at Rock, I think we played a show with them and we couldn't find anywhere for them to sleep for the night, so they actually stayed at my mum's place.
That's so cool. That's so metal. That's like the metalist thing about it. Stayed with your mum.
Yeah,
like,
so
that's so cool.
I had to ring up the old bird and say, look, can we put up this band for the night? And she was stressing out, going, what kind of satanic death metal monsters
What devil worship is this coming into my home?
So anyway, next day when I went to pick them up, Mum was like, man, those are the most polite, well-spoken people young people I've ever met.
That's awesome. That's what the metalhead scene's all about. We're actually polite, nice people. We just look scary.
Yep.
It's all the front.
It's all the front.
It all comes out in that music. So if you enjoyed Chalice, you got a story behind the band. We're moving over now into some slightly more uncharted territory.
And less than polite people.
Just to mix it up a little bit. So we're moving now into some sadistic execution.
So get ready to trash your house.
Mental metal.
This is Astral
Abortus.
Killed it.
On Canberra Metalheads. Welcome back to Canberra Metalheads.
In beer metal tradition.
You've got Marky Malphas and Benphegor. And also we got a special co-host here, Reggae from Reign of Terror.
Salute.
You just heard some Atomizer with Upon the Dying Priest, I Spat. Before that you had some Sadistic Execution.
That was Astral Abortus and Suspiral, a double-header track.
Just to keep everyone on their toes.
Yeah, I definitely want to go home and trash my house after listening to that.
I know that if Sadistic Execution was there, they would help you.
Yeah, a lovely bunch of chaps those guys.
I think I'd be a bit scared, to be honest.
I
love it. Let's go hard, man. You either go hard or you go home.
Yep.
That's obviously their motto.
It was actually one of the first big gigs that we ever played was opening for Sadistic, and they scared the crap out of us.
There's obviously more to that story, but we're not allowed to say it all.
Yeah, it's one of those I'll tell you at the pub type stories.
Yeah, so if you ever see Reggae, ask him about that gig. You'll want to hear it. He just told me about it, and yeah, I can understand why.
No,
it's tattooed on my brain forever.
Yep, so we had some nice array of tracks over the last few that we've listened to on the show so far. But obviously, Reggae's here for a reason. He's obviously part of one of Canberra's longest-lasting metal bands. You've heard some of his music before on the show. We've played Book of the Dead before.
Which was a brutal track. I loved it.
Yep. So we obviously love to spin a little Reign of Terror. So what other... I mean, obviously everyone's screaming out for to listen to some Under Blackened Skies. What sort of influences helped with making Under Blackened Skies?
Look, we were pretty young back then, so it was just these sort of standard issue metal influences like Black Sabbath, Metallica, that sort of thing.
The old school guys.
Yeah, I was still, I was sort of fairly middle into my teenage years when I wrote that song. It's our Paranoid. It's the one song that we're probably going to be stuck playing for the rest of our lives, if you know what I mean. Like like Nirvana got Smells Like Teen Spirit. Led Zeppelin got Smoke on the Water. Delete that bit.
Alright, we'll edit. We'll start again.
Fix that.
Yeah, Deep Purple got Smoke on the Water, and we're stuck playing Under Blackened Skies till we retire, I reckon.
But that's a good thing though. Like it's at least, you've got that song that everyone loves.
Yeah, it actually does make me feel really good that someone actually remembers a song and goes, yeah, that's I want to hear that one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah, I think one of the first YouTube videos I sent to you guys was the Under Blackened Skies song.
Yep, it would have been that one.
Yeah. I tell you what, you look pretty much exactly the same. I thought that was a recent track when I seen the video. More recent, anyway.
There's a lot of preservatives in Melbourne bitter.
It's all about the bitter. If you want to look young, drink. Oh, wait, that's terrible advice.
Keep you looking the same for 20 years.
Yep. So obviously you mentioned before we had a quick chat about Rock Ape. I mean, how was it running that bar, especially being fairly young as well?
Oh, look, it was an eye-opener. It was a teenage dream come true. Like, I used to love drinking it. Zorro's was a regular horn of mine, the Gypsy Bar, that sort of thing. At the time, all the venues were closing down. We were like going, man, what the hell are we going to do? No one wants heavy music on anymore.
Yeah.
And then I had a big night on it with the ex-owner of Finnegan's. And, after a few drinks and whatever, we decided, I reckon I can do that. I can run this bar, Gave me a 3 a.m. rundown of how it goes. Thought, okay, I'll do this. And then,
was it a drunken thing or?
Yeah, all my best work.
It's the best way to do stuff, man. Everyone just get drunk and then you all have the best ideas.
So anyway, at the time I was working in the public service, and so I put in an application, and then a few months passed, I'd forgotten about it, whatever. I think the pub was shut for about maybe 2-3 months after when the previous owner owned it, and then I got a call up. Oh, you're still interested in doing that bar? And I said, oh yeah, when do you want me to start? And they are tonight. About 3 hours from now. And I was like, well, why not?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't have time to think about it or to be scared or to have any second thoughts.
Sounds like the best way to do it, really.
Yeah, sometimes thinking just gets in the way of stuff, and there was no thought involved, and this is just an impulse. Get in and do it.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. Like, I had to... Actually, and then I got the keys, opened up a few hours later, and I thought, man, I don't even know how to pour a beer. So I had to ring up one of my friends and go, oh, can you tell me how to pour a beer? This is over the phone,
Yeah.
And that's how I poured my first beer, and that's how we started.
Yeah,
That's a pretty cool way, man. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
What a rad story.
First gig we had there was actually we had a probably about a week where we sort of got in there and we were just serving whoever walked in and nothing on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't long before everyone was cottoned on that I had it.
Yeah.
And I think the first gig we got booked in there was probably about two weeks after we opened. It was with
That's
Bloodduster headlining.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And that was a massive night. Like, that just put us on the map
Yeah.
in one show. Well, like, everyone knew about the bar from then on in, and it was
That's awesome.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you had some pretty big gigs there over the time, and you obviously had a chance to work with and play with some fairly big bands. What was one of the highlights? Like, what was the highlight gig from the whole experience?
I'm gonna say the highlight of it for me was not actually a gig. It was one Saturday afternoon. We were all recovering after an Alchemist gig the night before there.
Yeah.
And so we were dusty. It was about maybe 1 in the afternoon, and it was me and one of the barmaids were in there by ourselves cleaning up real slow, like we're lurching about. And Matt Skitz from Damage walks in, and he goes, "Oh, I'm here, play the gig." And I said, "Man, you're a bit early, it's 1 in the arvo." And he goes, "Oh no, I got to warm up first." And so anyway, he drags his kid in there. It might be about 2 in the arvo or 3 by the time he gets started practicing. And the dude just jammed by himself for 1.5 hours. Play. If any of you guys have ever heard Damaged play, you can imagine what it'd be like just hearing Matt Skitz doing 1.5 hours of drum gymnastics.
Yeah.
And it's just you and the barmaid there with a couple of beers, feet up, going, nobody else in the world can see this.
Yeah,
except
that's
us.
dope. That's awesome, man.
That was probably that was my favourite memory of the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
That's wicked.
That's actually really, really cool. I mean, just seeing that guy behind a whole band is amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine just like a solo act. Yeah, that's definitely where that could take you.
But there was a million good moments in there. We had bands like Pungent Stench play there, or packed out venue. The last gig that we ever had, we were the last band, Reign of Terror, that closed up the last show.
That's pretty cool that you closed.
Yeah,
closed off.
Seen it out.
Yeah, had to get a new band back together for the occasion, but it was worth it. You know, like we played, I got presented with my farewell gift. It was a sword.
That's
So all the regulars chucked in and got me a sword. So that was really cool.
May as well end it in a badass way.
Yeah, that was Jamie from he was in Systematic at the time. That was his brainchild. But yeah, but there were some magic moments. I'm trying to think of some other good bands that played there. We had a few international, like Deeds of Flesh played there. Had some pretty random things like Wendy Rule played there once.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a mixture of things. Had some punk bands that just put on some brilliant shows. Some metal bands that just tore the place apart. Yeah, couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, you can definitely see why Reggae's got such an awesome collection of music over the years.
He is the veteran.
Things like
He's the
that.
man you need to call if you need something.
And always good to have him on the show. Hope you guys are all enjoying it at home. And just to close out the end of the first bracket, we've got some Reign of Terror. This is Reign of Terror with Under Blackened Skies on Canberra Metalheads. Welcome back to Canberra Metalheads. You just heard Codpiece with Earthcorp. You also had...
Before that, we had Dement Ensemble. We're not actually sure what this track was called because I, as in Reggae, taped it off a cassette and forgot to write down what it was called. But it came off the Willpower Bulldozer demo from about 96. So it's a bit of a quirky little track there from those guys. They were local legends back in the day.
Yeah, very unique piece. As well as that, before we had Reign of Terror with Under Blackened Skies, which you may have heard before.
Well, I've heard it many times.
Sure you've heard it, man? Like, I'm not 100% sure.
Nah, hear it again.
What was it? Oh, yeah. What was it like hearing it for like the 15,000th time?
Look, I'm just happy people still want to hear it, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It was like I said in the Claret Ash interview, like, you guys hear a song, you hear how you want it to be, and then we hear it in our way. So it's sort of like, it's nice, man. Like, everyone gets to hear it in different ways, and different things. So, like, even if you're hearing it for the first time, you're still getting it imprinted on you. It always means a lot.
It's when we hear it, it's the first time we've heard a mastered edition, whereas it's not influenced by all the times that we've heard it before that.
Yeah.
So we're hearing it fresh for the first time. It definitely changes the aspect of the music.
Excellent.
All right, so yeah, it's good to have everybody tuning in and listening to our podcast, and also our special guests and interviews we've had. I hope everyone enjoys listening to some reggae from Reign of Terror.
Yeah, he's been tremendous. Thanks for being tremendous.
I do try.
So yeah, we touched on a few stories earlier. Before, obviously, we've had some experiences over the years with the Canberra metal scene. What's from the more recent gigs? I mean, obviously you've played with some pretty big names lately. How have you found sort of playing in today's crowds compared to the earlier ones?
Look, it's a different thing. I think people these days are a bit more sedate and they're a bit more selective about what they listen to. Thankfully, a few of them are still listening to us. That's really cool. But the opportunities have been coming in pretty well for us, actually. Like, for a band that plays music, I guess that we consider old school, we don't sort of really go for the newer crowd. We've still been getting a lot of gigs like that. Venom that we got a couple of months back was, that was brilliant.
That's right, yeah.
Had the time of our lives playing that. Venom dudes dug us, which was really cool. Hopefully we've made some good connections for the future. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I there's not a lot of people that can have that portion of, the gigs that you guys have seen for over the years. So you're like Rain of Terror would be one of the few bands that actually has that perfect sample of what the earlier days of like Metal for the Brain and Rock Ape and all that versus like today's music festivals and gigs.
Well, the thing is too, like a lot of people think of us now as a pretty extreme band, but some of the stuff we've been playing, and even I guess next up we'll probably have that Damage track. A lot of that stuff is just 10 times as full on as what we ever were anyway. But yeah, I guess times are changing now. We're probably one of the more full-on bands, whereas back 20 years ago there were bands that were just smashing out stuff that was so insane. Like you just make your liver fall out your butt when you see it live. But yeah, I mean, we've also had the advantage of being a little bit more accessible than a lot of these extreme bands that some of which we've played tonight, where we've been able to get gigs with punk bands, rock gigs. Like even we played a show with Angry Anderson and went down fairly well with that.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of death metal bands couldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even back in the day in the 90s, we were playing gigs with people like Non-Intentional Life Form, Roadrunner bands that had charted and stuff like that, whereas the death metal scene bands probably couldn't have played those shows because they were just too full on.
Yeah.
So it's, I guess it's also the advantage of being a bit more well-rounded musically, where we've got a lot of rock influences, glam metal, punk.
Yeah, you can definitely hear the influences, and that's what I really like about you guys.
It's not just straight down the line death metal. It's, it's death metal with a bit of stuff thrown in there.
Which is awesome, man. And it is also sort of like hard to do as well, because death metal is such a it's just such a brutal thing to be able to have like different varieties of like different styles of music put into that as well. Like it makes it even more wicked. Yeah,
no, it's very diverse. Like, you can see you guys playing with a large range of different bands, and have over the years.
Yeah, it's definitely made it easier for us for sure.
Yeah, and also such a broad range of different musicians over the years. I mean, yourself being the constant in Reign of Terror, and then this evolving band around you, obviously would have some influence towards the different styles.
Yeah, that's actually a good point you brought up. Like we've had a lot of different people in and out of the band over the 23, 24 years we've been around. And a lot of these guys were influenced by different things, like some into tech death metal, like we've had Naif who's now in Wretch. He brought in a lot of Suffocation, Deicide type influence. Then after him we had a guy, Jeff, that brought in a lot of straight down the line, I guess you'd call it more progressive melodic metal, like Carcass, Nevermore, that sort of stuff. Then when I switched to guitar, it brought a lot of Black Sabbath, Motley Crue type influence. All mostly within a death metal, I guess, sphere of influence, but having different people from different backgrounds playing the band, it's really sort of given us all these different flavours that we can chuck into a casserole, I guess. Even Chris Farrant, who's left the band about a year ago, he was heaps into his Bathory and his Nile and that sort of stuff, and that put a different aspect into the band as well, And now we've got Mike on bass. He's heaps into his Megadeth, very big Metallica fan. So that's bringing us back into that sort of classical metal.
It's gone full circle.
Which is cool though. Like you've noticed, like a lot of things, like they literally just do a massive full circle. So like to end up back sort of around that sort of
where their roots
is wicked, man. Because I'm pretty sure everyone's a big fan of the old school 90s, 80s and 70s rock. And that's what made pretty much everything today. So like it's good to have that sort of big circle to come back down to.
Yeah, and it just means that we're not repeating ourselves album after album. Like, there's nothing worse than a band that puts out 7 albums in a row and they sound exactly the same. You pick out one song and you can't tell whether it came off album number 1 or number 7 or,
No, definitely. That's one of my I can't really say pet peeves because I'm not in a band, but like listening to bands that release like 5, 6, 7 albums that sound exactly the same, it's just like, come on guys, we love what you're doing, we support what you're doing, but like try to give something else, a bit of a new flavour.
Just mix it up a little.
That's it.
No, that was good. So I mean, we mentioned before we were going to listen to some Damage, so here we have Damaged with Swine-Eyed Sheep here on Canberra Metalheads. You're back on Canberra Metalheads here with Marky, Malphas, Benphegor, our special guest, Reggae. That was Temptress, Your Time Has Come. And at the top we had Damage with Swine-Eyed Sheep. We'll just take a moment now to run through our gig guide. So on the 30th of June at the Basement, you will be able to see Temptress, the band that you just heard, so go and check that out. 30th of June at the Basement. We've also got coming up,
We got Heathen Fest on the 2nd of June, so we got 7 brutal bands that you guys need to go down and see. Headliner Act of Autopsy, we've got a Beard Comp as well, which Marky will be doing some stuff about that. He's got more information about that now.
yeah, so the beard comp there's got 3 categories. We've got longest, thickest beard. We've also got best bushranger beard. And our personal favourite, which is sponsored by Canberra Metalheads, the best Viking beard. So if you go on your facial fuzz and you want to head on down to Heathen Fest to try your luck against the other beards, come and see us there. We'll be able to sign you up and see if you can go home a winner. We've also got some further upcoming gigs with Amorium. They're playing on the Vanishing Point gig on the 6th of July at the Basement. So check Amorium at the Vanishing Point gig, 6th of July, Basement. We've had another gig on that night as well. The 6th of July is also Witch Skull at Transit Bar. Witch Skull's an awesome old school band. I mean, definitely worth a listen. So, I mean, there's a toss-up between those 2 gigs. Who knows, if you're quick on your feet, you might be able to catch a bit of both. But
Cloning technology. That's what we need.
Yeah.
exactly. With Witch Skull kicking off their tour here in Canberra. So check that out. It's definitely worth a watch. We'd love to have Witch Skull on the show. They're an awesome band, great bunch of dudes. Spoke to them before. It'd be really cool to have an interview. So Witch Skull, if you're out there, hit us up. We'd love to have you on the show. Alright, now rounding off our next section of the show. We'll up next we have Witch Skull with Vast Electric Dark here on Canberra Metalheads. Welcome back to Canberra Metalheads. You just heard some...
Oh, that was Astrial, a Brisbane band from, I guess it would have been late 90s, mid 2000s period, with their song Ode to Antiquity.
Okay, and before that you had some Johnny Roadkill, Sex, Drugs and Girls Like You. Great Johnny Roadkill track there. I got given a digital version of that, so check it out on Spotify. And before that we had Witch Skull, Vast Electric Dark. Witch Skull, obviously we mentioned before, has a upcoming gig on the 6th of July at Transit Bar, so if you like that track and you'd love to see some more, go along and check out Witch Skull. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for tonight on Canberra Metalheads. So we'll close up the show now and just say thank you to all the support we've had over the last 2 shows. We've watched numbers increase quite dramatically already, so it's great to see everybody out there giving us a like and a share, and all the bands out there getting behind us. I mean, obviously without you guys' support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, so thank you very much. We've also, had a great range of guests. I mean, obviously we've had Reggae in today, which is phenomenal. Have you had fun on the show, Reggae?
I have indeed, and just quick thanks to Marky and Ben for having me on here. Let me
No
drag down
worries,
the
man.
tone of the place a bit. Yeah.
That was wicked, man. It's great to have a veteran like you on the show. With your past stories and knowledge of music's been great.
I like stories.
And some stories that we're not allowed to air, unfortunately.
Yeah, so you might be able to have to catch up with Reggae personally to hear some of the extra
Trust me,
ones.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed the show, definitely check us out, subscribe to our podcast, and listen out for plenty more to come. And if you're a band there that would like to promote any upcoming gigs or album, hit us up. We'd love to have a chat at Canberra Metalheads on all social media platforms. Ben, I'm sure that you enjoyed the show. You enjoy speaking to Reggae and having a good time.
Yeah, man, it's been great. This is my first time getting to meet Reggae and actually getting to know who the man is behind the voice. So it's been great. I've been having a great time. I haven't been talking as much
making me
today.
blush, mate.
Wicked. No, I haven't been talking as much today just because I wanted to get ready to more talk and you guys can talk about stories more. I've just been the creepy dude who sits at the side going, yes, this is great, yes.
Your input's valid anyway.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for listening.
Keep it metal, guys.
Yaka, yaka, bam!